You know the feeling. You upload a new video, and for the first 24, maybe 48 hours, things are looking great. Views are climbing, you're getting some traction, and then bam, it's like your video just hits a brick wall. The views completely fall off. It is one of the biggest frustrations for creators. But what if I told you this isn't the algorithm breaking? What if it's the algorithm working exactly as it's supposed to? Okay, let's get into it. So really, why does this happen? Why does that initial burst of energy just vanish, leaving your video in what feels like algorithmic dust? This is the big question we're going to answer today, because if you can understand the why, that's the very first step to beating the algorithm at its own game. You know, this whole thing actually has a name, the 48-hour cliff. It's that moment where it feels like the algorithm has just decided to ghost you. But I promise, it is not personal, and it's definitely not random. It's a totally predictable part of the YouTube ecosystem, and today we are going to learn how to navigate it. All right, here is our game plan for today. We're going to start with the symptom, the cliff itself. Then we'll diagnose the cause, which is the algorithm's test. After that, we'll cover how you can actually pass that test, a treatment plan to revive a video that's already flatlined, and finally, we'll talk about a long-term strategy so you're not just living and dying by that 48-hour burst. So first up, let's just talk about the symptom. That initial spike in views followed by a super sharp drop, that is a universal experience for pretty much every creator, especially if you have a newer channel. It feels like a failure, but it's really just the first stage of a much bigger process. And here is the single most important thing to understand. That view drop-off isn't a mistake. It is the system working exactly as designed. All it means is that the algorithm's initial test has finished, and your video didn't quite make the cut for a wider promotion. But don't worry, that is not the final verdict, not even close. Okay, so let's move on to the diagnosis. To really understand the cliff, we have to pull back the curtain and understand the test that actually causes it. This is the moment where YouTube decides if your video is truly worth showing to a much, much wider audience. So when you upload a long-form video, it basically enters a test screening. For about 24 to 48 hours, YouTube shows it to a really small, kind of hand-picked audience. This is going to be your most loyal subscribers and some new viewers who tend to like similar content. During this time, the algorithm is just a data gathering machine. Now, what's really fascinating is how this test is totally different for long-form videos versus shorts. For long-form, it's all about the impression. Does your thumbnail and title combo earn the click? For shorts, it is all about the swipe. The YouTube team actually calls it a seeding process. The algorithm pushes the short into a few feeds, and it watches for one thing. Do people stay and watch, or do they immediately swipe away? If it holds their attention better than other shorts, it gets seeded to more people. If it doesn't, boom, the promotion stops, just like that. So if it's a test, then how is it graded, right? This brings us to the scorecard. The algorithm is looking at a few really specific metrics to decide your video's fate. And honestly, it really just boils down to two critical signals. First, click-through rate, or CTR. It's super simple. When people see your video's thumbnail out in the wild, do they actually click on it? And second, audience retention, or AR. Once they're in, do they actually stick around and watch? These two numbers tell YouTube almost everything it needs to know. For your long-form videos, you really need to be aiming for a click-through rate of at least 5 to 6% in that initial phase. If you get anything lower than that, the algorithm basically assumes your packaging, your thumbnail and title, just isn't compelling enough to justify a bigger push. For shorts, the magic number is completely different. Here, you're aiming for more than 70% of viewers to watch instead of swiping away. I mean, think about that. For every 10 people who see your short, 7 or more need to actually watch it. And the truly viral shorts, they often hit 80 or even 90%. And this slide right here, this just perfectly illustrates the other half of the puzzle, audience retention. Just look at the difference. A viral video holds its audience, maybe keeping 65% of them totally hooked, especially in that critical first 30 seconds. A video that fails, on the other hand, sees a cliff within the video itself, just plummeting down to 25% retention almost immediately. That steep drop is a massive red flag for the algorithm. Okay, so your video failed the test. Is it a lost cause? Is it over? Absolutely not. Let's get right into the treatment plan and see how you can bring a so-called dead video back to life. So if your problem was a low click-through rate, that means your packaging failed. But the good news is, that's the easiest thing to change. You can go right into that video's settings, write a new, more intriguing title, then create 2 or 3 completely new thumbnails, and use YouTube's built-in A/B testing feature to see which one performs best. When you do this, you're not just hoping for the best. You're basically forcing the algorithm to give your video a fresh test. And don't think this is just for small channels. As one creator points out here, even the biggest channels on the entire platform are constantly optimizing. Mr. Beast's team is famous for swapping out thumbnails days after a video goes live, always hunting for that slightly higher click-through rate. They treat publishing as the beginning of the optimization process, not the end. Okay, but what if your CTR was fine, but your audience retention was just terrible? This is where you have to become a bit of a surgeon. Go into the YouTube editor, look at your attention graph, and find the exact spot where viewers are bailing. Was it a long, rambling intro? Cut it. Was there a boring section in the middle? Remove it. Every single second you can improve the average watch time gives your video a better shot at a second life. And finally, you can't just sit back and wait for the algorithm to rediscover your video. You have to create your own traffic. Go to your most popular videos and change their end screens so they point to this dead one. Add it to a relevant playlist that already gets a lot of views. Link to it from your shorts, share it on your community tab. What you're doing is manually building bridges for engaged viewers to find this video, which can be the exact signal the algorithm needs to take another look. Now look, fixing dead videos is a fantastic skill to have. But the best long-term strategy is to build a channel that isn't so vulnerable to the 48-hour cliff in the first place. This is all about building for sustainability. On YouTube, traffic really comes from two main places. Suggested traffic is that 48-hour burst. It's viral, it's exciting, but it's totally unpredictable. Search traffic, on the other hand, is evergreen. It's driven by people who are actively looking for what you have to offer. So while suggested traffic is like lightning in a bottle, search traffic is the solid foundation you build your channel on. Think about it like this. A viral video is like a firework. It's a million views in a week, and then it's gone. But a well-optimized, search-based video, that's like a steady tap. It can bring in a consistent stream of hundreds or even thousands of views every single day for years to come. Building a library of these taps is the real key to sustainable growth. So let's bring it all together. The 48-hour cliff feels like a dead end, I know, but it's not. It's the algorithm giving you direct, actionable feedback. It's telling you precisely what you need to fix: your packaging, your hook, or your content spacing. It's not a judgment, it's just data. And that brings us to the final question. Armed with all this knowledge, you now have the power to go back and breathe new life into your old content. So I want you to go take a look at your analytics. Which dead video are you going to revive first?